So considering this is a video, and my last video was goodbye maybe, I'm not doing the best job of quitting YouTube. Because I've been thinking about that video and the response to it, thinking about what I want to do online and the kind of stuff I want to get up to, and I have some ideas. Just quitting YouTube and quitting the online space is very difficult. It's something extremely hard for me to do. I've spent so much time building up my channel, put so much work and effort into it, that just letting it all go seems like losing a limb or a loved one of some kind. And it's weird walking around being like, my YouTube channel and the stuff that I've created and put on it is so important to me, but to the people in my everyday life, the people around, they're not really aware of it or don't really care, but it's like this thing that I've got that is just mine. I'm pretty proud and happy with some of my videos and things that I've done. For example, I was very proud of the fact that I made a video interview with a historian, which was a kind of precursor to ContraPoint's video, where she had a dialogue between an interviewer and somebody who was clearly a Nazi but was pretending not to be a Nazi.
Nein, die feministische Klasse ist im Klassenzimmer 306.
Es ist kein Nazi.
Nein!
Ew. Bye! I'm not celebrating this, even though I very much admire everything this stands
That's what the liberal media will say.
This is just a artifact.
Gotcha. Yep.
I see that you are a student of history. I very much appreciate that. You know, maybe I will send you one of these. And then we can kill the Jews in the new Holocaust. Oh, you understand.
Right.
This is the German humor.
Right. Hilarious. This is satire, isn't it? They're always doing that. You're doing a satire. It's just a joke. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I like you.
ContraPoint's video, of course, received a ton of accolades, and mine had a fairly modest response, but I thought it was cool how I was kind of anticipating where major creators were going. ContraPoint's video was a little bit different, you know, because there was 3 people in a dialogue instead of 2. Of course, it had the ContraPoint's aesthetic, which is very intense, much higher production values, of course, better scripting and so forth, and it also included a lot of ContraPoint's signature philosophy and historical lessons, context, etc. But I just thought it was cool. And I've found that a few times that ideas that I've come up with have suddenly been made by larger creators. Although I know that that is just all a coincidence, obviously. I'm particularly happy with some videos like New Zealand Immigration Exposed, which I thought got a very good reaction. Man, I found something here. Look at this, look at this. Persian rugs just hanging up out here. This must be a Persian house. God knows the kind of thing that they're getting onto in there. It's not our culture. And now these kind of rugs are hanging up all over the place. I think signal round to the neighborhood. This is our place now. This is our culture. This is our place. Fucking hell, man. New Zealand's changed. I don't even recognize this shit anymore. I also really enjoyed the collab that I did with Vadim Newquist, or Creationist Cat.
You know, I'm probably not even to the right of you anyways. Why am I even the conservative? You should probably be the conservative.
I've always been more to the left. I think I'm to the left of you.
You know what? That's just kind of bullshit, Tim.
Anyways, reaction to my Goodbye Maybe video. I would say the vast majority of the people who responded were incredibly positive and supportive, and it was just really surprising and also gratifying to see how many people did appreciate my channel or do appreciate my channel. And a lot of people saying, Tim, you really helped me to get out of being a conservative or moving away from shitlordism or anti-social justice. Received a lot of messages about that, and I received emails of people saying, please don't go, you know, your content is a breath of fresh air, of rationality, and a sea of just bullshit. And I did also get a few good riddance, you scumbag, get the fuck off the internet. You something lying garbage scum trash of shite poos. It's really nice to hear that I helped somebody to change their perspective on something. I've never considered myself to really be an activist, so I've never been out there to try to convert people to the left or to social justice or anything like that. I've always just thought I'm just speaking my mind about stuff that I have a genuine opinion about. If people... It's a loud truck. If people want to move in my direction, that's awesome, but they don't have to. People can make up their own mind and think their own things. And I've always thought that. I just want to give opinions that I think are right. Opinions that I think would be good for other people to take up, but it's up to them. So it's really nice to hear your channel as well as this channel and that channel. You opened up my eyes as to the misogynistic bullshit in the anti-social justice sphere and the repetitiveness and stupidity of the arguments of anti-feminists. That's cool. Thank you. But now I have to consider what to do next after being so unbelievably burnt out. And I was thinking about this, and I haven't been able to get it out of my head, an idea of making like a super produced video, a video that would use a green screen, have costumes, have multiple characters, have a soundtrack, have heaps of cheesy, fast editing, have skits, have gimmicks, slow motion, like randomly smashing things for no particular reason, just to make it look cool, and having it very scripted and organized, and making the video kind of like a comment on the sort of shit that you have to do to really take off or get popular on lefty YouTube. It would be like a very ironic video wrapped in sarcasm, wrapped in an actual overly well-produced video. And I think about things like H-Bomber Guy covering himself in oil and sort of bursting out of a comic book, and how ridiculously over the top it is. Contrapoints with the wild costumes and the aesthetic. And that's the way forward for lefty YouTube, and I'd kind of like to make a comment on that, but it would require way more effort. Maybe I could just release videos much slower, a monthly, bi-monthly sort of thing, and have them be a lot more intense. But if they were intense, I would also want them to be subversive and self-referential and meta. I wouldn't want them to just be produced for their own sake. And I think if I made a first video that was way overproduced, the intention of it would be to mock overproduction and to make fun of things like unnecessary edits and zooming in on people's faces and going over here and being like, oh my god, what?
What? It's just like an anonymous group of female hitmen. Hitmen? Is it still hitmen if it's women? Hit women? No, wait. I didn't say hit women. Don't take that out of context. Please.
And some stupid meme like,
I hope she made lots of spaghetti.
that's the kind of shit that people want, I guess. So I'm not sure that I like physically can quit YouTube, to be honest, but I can change what I'm doing. And I think that's probably just what's going to happen, that I'll just change quite a bit. I think I'm going to be much less focused on individuals and people, more focused on concepts, in terms of concepts for videos, as well as focused on information. I put a pause on my Patreon, and I want to keep it open, but you can't turn off the money, because that's the entire point of the Patreon, but I don't really want the money anymore. And I'd still like to keep it because I can still interact with people who like my stuff, but I don't really want to charge them cash anymore. Which, if I'm going in a different direction, is not very YouTuberly of me, because YouTubers generally just go for more patrons, and getting a patron list so long that it takes about a minute of the video to even play the whole list of patrons. And for some reason I want to go in the opposite direction of no money, while thinking about upping production costs. Financial genius. As I said, I'm also working on a song, and I'm about to go record the bass for that. I bought a new guitar pedal, a Zoom G5N, and it sounds pretty awesome, but I'm still getting the hang of it. Just about how I've generally been feeling recently, so I made one video in the past talking about depression. I've got depression, I don't talk about it very much, and this topic is somewhat tied into when I lived in Japan. I lived in Japan for 4 years. I went to Japan to teach English in schools. For the first year that I was there, I was just having a fantastic time. I was learning the language, I was doing karaoke, drinking heavily, going out with friends, partying, making music. I met this guy called Ron from Canada, who was just the coolest dude I've ever met.
Welcome to the Shopping Network. Next up, we have a great entrepreneur and their wonderful new product. Please, tell us what you've made.
Well, thank you for inviting me on the show today. My name's Phil. I think I've thought about something. I've made something so original you would not believe it.
Wonderful.
I have made a scientifically proven tampon.
Wonderful. So, tell us about this tampon.
Well, you see, sir, you have your regular tampon. And then you have my tampon. And there's a difference.
Scientifically proven. What's that mean?
Scientifically, it's a tampon.
But it's been proven. How?
Proven to be a tampon. And it's proven to work.
Have there been studies?
I've studied it.
Very chill guy. There's a lot of times when I'd stay up drinking late because I'd be out partying and then have to teach at school the next day and just power through it even though I felt like total garbage. And I'd have to be in front of 5 or 6 different classes a day, hungover and trying to deal with hordes of Japanese children. I went over there with a partner, and for that year it was like really awesome when suddenly, I don't know what happened, culture shock just smacked me in the face. Just like a fist of bricks. Bam. All of a sudden, I felt alienated. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I wasn't learning the language properly. I felt like I was strange, that I was embarrassing. Seeing Japanese everywhere started to confuse me. I felt completely isolated. I started drinking a lot more, just on my own. I felt stressed. I felt I couldn't cope. Something just completely changed. And I've had a history of depression. Generally, I just go into this dark funk for months on end. And then that started in Japan, and I just went into a spiral of depression, and I was just completely doomed. I broke up with my partner, which made me spiral even more into depression. And then for a week or two, I was extremely suicidal. I was planning how to kill myself. But eventually, I decided, no, I gotta stay alive. Because I don't know. I don't know why. Hey, it's better than being dead, because it's forever. So decided to be alive. I had to slowly scrape myself out of depression. It took maybe a year. I had to work out a lot and go to the gym and swim and eat healthily. Tried to drink less. I took different medications, saw different doctors, tried to confide in people, tried to turn things around. It was hard, and it was like pulling myself out of this pit. But eventually I did, and I got a new girlfriend, but she turned out to be like quite manipulative and a little bit emotionally abusive. And I broke up with her eventually, but this time I could actually emotionally deal with it and I could handle it. After having lived for 3 years in Hokkaido, in the northernmost island of Japan, I decided to move to Honshu because I wanted to be near Tokyo and the big city and see what that was like. Originally I taught for public schools, which had really good benefits and good holidays. The workload wasn't too hard. And I moved to Saitama, north of Tokyo, to teach at a private school. Now there at the private school, the work hours were much worse. They were like 11 a.m. to 9 p.m, so that completely fucked up my sleeping schedule. I lived in a tiny apartment. It was just tiny little box. There was a big network of people I could talk to and get to know when I lived in Hokkaido, but when I lived in Saitama, there was just nobody because all of us English teachers were just working crazy hours. And I was crammed into a tiny room that had no air conditioning. It was insanely hot. So just sweating like crazy in a suit. It made me smell. So one day my supervisor came in and was like, "Ooh, bad smell, you smell," and then just sprayed deodorant on me. And I was like, this is so demeaning. There's no fucking air conditioning in here. But eventually, this isolation and this overwork and this difficulty and having 9 lessons a day with people who, can't communicate in English, and then I'm trying to teach them English, I'm not sure what's actually working or not. Felt very lonely, even traumatized, and I would go online and use websites like Omegle, which are just fucking awful, to try to find people to talk to. Omegle's just this random chat website that just connects you to random people. I just got super drunk and would go on Omegle and be like, someone be my friend, and I actually recorded in that apartment my first YouTube video, which I've subsequently lost, so I don't know where that is. I tried to find it because I was interested, but I couldn't. And the only way out of that situation for me was to just leave it. So I'd quit my job in Saitama and I was like, I'm going home to New Zealand because I can't take the isolation and loneliness anymore. I very much enjoyed my time in Japan overall. I loved learning the language. I loved eating the food. I loved the culture. I loved sightseeing, seeing all the different temples and castles. I went all around the country, traveled all over the place, and it was really good. And I kind of wish that I had been more grounded there. Maybe I could have found a Japanese girlfriend. Maybe I could have settled there. I don't know. But I ended up coming back to New Zealand, and I had to make that choice just for my mental health. So why do I tell that story? I think it's because recently I've noticed that kind of crushing depression feeling slowly creeping back into my life. And thinking about how that happened before is a good way of identifying when it's incoming again. And then I gotta think of just how to get out of it. I think my emotional state is extremely glacial. For like 3 years or so, I'll be perfectly fine just doing whatever. And then suddenly the depression avalanche slowly starts crushing me, and I gotta get out of it again. I do think just saying goodbye to my YouTube channel because I can't cope with what's going online in the long run probably won't help me. It will just feel like a lost opportunity or something that I let happen and just gave up on. Generally, I'm not a quitter. I keep trying and going for as long as I possibly can on something until it's completely exhausted. And there's only been a couple of times when I've ever quit something. Quitting my job in Japan was one of the only times I've ever quit anything. So I don't think it's in my nature to quit, but I have been thinking about it. If I could describe depression, it would just be a feeling of hopelessness. Like every single day, you're just going about your business, doing things for no purpose or no point. And I think I used to be angsty about that, like, woe is me, oh, my life's so hard, everything's so difficult. When I was a teenager particularly, I felt very much like, how dare this happen to me? And then write angsty song lyrics and poetry. But I guess my depression became more just like hanging around waiting to die. I don't know why I try to do anything. I'm totally worthless. Thinking things like that. My ex-girlfriend used to say, oh, you've got such low self-esteem. You think so lowly of yourself. And I would often reply back, I don't have low self-esteem. I have no self-esteem. I do not esteem myself at all. I mean, I certainly do believe and agree with all the opinions that I've ever given on my channel, but I've never been of the belief that I can really much change the world in any particular way except for a small number of people who might find it interesting. So my expectations have never been that high, and I suppose for somebody who has struggled as much as I have with depression that I'm doing better than I could be. Anyways, I just wanted to give a little bit of context about where I've been in my head recently and what's been going on. I'll keep working on my song, which I think is going well, and release that soon. And in the meantime, yeah, I might start scripting that intense video because I've got some pretty funny ideas for it, I think. Anyways, unrelated to any of this, Mythicist Milwaukee was just on, so just add this as a small comment at the end. For those who don't know, Mythicist Milwaukee is kind of this anti-SJW shitlord convention, or at least it turned into that last year when they invited Sargon of Akkad and Thomas Smith to debate social justice.
So this is someone who's a woman, a sexual assault survivor, someone we all know, like she was public about that. It's in the news, and it's in response to a campaign to try to fight online harassment, and you saw fit to tweet at her, to say to her, I wouldn't even rape you.
Yep. And do you understand why your moral outrage about that is something I just don't care about?
Because you're awful. Yeah, I do.
Now that's it.
You're awful.
Exactly.
That is an unacceptable thing to say to somebody. To tell a rape victim, a sexual assault victim, I wouldn't even rape you is disgusting.
Why?
That's behavior that should be beyond the pale.
Why?
And everybody cheering, everybody who is a part of inviting
it's not an insult. It's
you
not
have
a threat.
signaled to the women in the movement, you do not give a shit about using rape as a threat to bully somebody.
And it was all Kyrgyzstan Pepe meme people who went to that event cheered the fact that Sargon said, I wouldn't even rape you, to a member of parliament who was sexually abused in the past. And some social justice peeps, Chrisiosity, Music Man, Mike Rowlands, and Vadim or Creationist Cat decided to go to Mythicist Milwaukee this year. Some people give them shit about that. I don't care, it's their lives. Do what you do. And from all I've heard, they absolutely crushed it. Chrisiosity was on stage talking about how racial discrimination and racism stresses out black people and other minorities in their lives. And I'm just kind of imagining how that went down in that room. It's probably like a lead balloon because they don't believe that really racism particularly exists, particularly systemic racism.
Can I please speak to that? All right. I don't know what it's like to live under the stress of people who are racist and sexist against you for your whole life, okay? So, but it is stressful. We know, there was just recently a study that came out that even people who work within the black community who are white, who bring them, who teach them and work with them, have a lot of racist beliefs.
Hey man, I think this white dude in the audience knows what it's like, right?
There are studies of how
And it was very, very refreshing to see actual different ideas being represented on a stage of shitlords. Not just them talking amongst themselves about how horrific and horrible social justice and feminism is, but actually talking to people who advocate for those things and saying that they're not monsters and they're not like terrible individuals and terrible human beings. They're people you can actually talk to some of the time and converse with. This guy Andy No, who was reporting on Mythicist Milwaukee, showed a photo of Michael Rowlands and how Michael Rowlands said, I'm sorry if I've offended your white male sensibilities, to the crowd, which must have been hilarious, because I'm just imagining all those people getting offended. Oh my god, what's he saying about white people now? This is... social justice is so intolerant. And how funny that is, because it wasn't just the shitlord safe space that it could have been. They were extremely worried that Michael Rowlands would, flip somebody off. And then, whoa, us being offended by that would make us feel unsafe. Well, it looked fairly safe to me. It didn't look like Michael was hurting anybody. This part of the video will also look different, because I also filmed it later. Mike Rowlands uploaded a funny video of him meeting Sargon of Akkad.
Hey, Carl! Carl! Sargon! Fuck you! Finger wars. He's wearing a fucking MAGA hat. Look at that shit. What a fucking cunt.
I thought that was pretty funny. The first words out of his lips were, I can't believe Demotivator Opinion is not here. And then of course he put on his MAGA hat like, ha ha, you are so triggered. I support Donald Trump. Ha, supporting Trump to own the libs. Ha ha ha. Which is very much Carl. That's what you'd expect. I have to say, I was incredibly offended by the MAGA hat. Really offends me when people wear MAGA hats. Or drink from straws. He remembers me. He likes me. He really likes me. You know, Michael Rowlands and Chrisiosity, whatever people think of them, they are really awesome people. Just fantastic individuals. Mike came to my wedding, played some music there, and everyone who met him was like, this guy is hilarious, great to hang out with, fun guy. He's just developed this reputation on the internet of being so evil, which is just absurd when you actually meet the guy. Really just a lovely soul. And my friend Vadim Newquist went there, and I can't wait to hear about how that went and see how he totally crushed those triggered right-tards. So that's it. Hope you have an awesome evening / morning / afternoon / whatever other time of day could possibly exist. Cheers.
My dad don't have a heart. I knew it'd come apart. My dad won't shake my hand. He sees me not as a man. Mom, she don't complain. She sees me as a stain on the family name. I've been working hard, yet my job is gone so far. Human being, damn it. I'm more than just my condition. But believe it. It's this fucking world. Why are people cold? I try to be so warm to them. Because of my AIDS. Called me thick with AIDS. He called me a dick with AIDS. He called me a dick with AIDS.
but I don't really give a damn at all. Yeah, I got money in the bank and that I could thank for making it easier at night. Oh, haze, 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 I can't complain. Hey, hey, oh, I'd rather be, yeah, I'd rather be, oh, I'd rather be out of here with AIDS. Are we doing another verse?